Hi, Craig Zacta with IPEX USA Guardian Products, and today we're going to do a demonstration on the proper installation of a vinyl closure coupling. First thing we're going to want to do is make sure that before we do any joints on our carrier pipe, which is the inner, we're going to want to slide closure coupling onto a clean piece of containment pipe. We want to make sure that we don't have any dirt, debris, or water onto this pipe. We're going to slide it on nice and clean, and if we're going to be in an environment where it may be subject to either the weather, that being rain, or someone kicking dirt onto it, we're going to want to wrap this in some plastic. We could bag it, we could put some tape on it, anything that you feel comfortable doing that is going to keep moisture and dirt out from getting in between the ID of the closure coupling and the OD of the containment pipe. What we're going to also want to do is keep it a sufficient distance away so that when we start our solvent cementing process, we're going to have ample room to work in here. Once we've made our carrier joint and we've tested the system and we're ready to start installing the closure coupling, first thing we're going to want to do is remove our wrap and make sure that we have proper alignment. Sometimes because of an uneven bedding in the ditch, assuming this is going to be a buried application, or if we're overhead and hangers aren't exactly level, we want to make sure that we're going to transition back and forth from one side to the other. If I were to move this up out of the way and it's going to hit and we'd have to bring it up and bring it over, that is a situation we don't want. We want it to be able to move back and forth without any resistance. So that may mean that we're going to have to do a little shimming on either one of the pieces of pipe so that we transition back and forth. We also want to make sure that this coupling rotates and moves freely. You are going to have just a slight bit of play back and forth. We want to see that. We don't want to have someone having to force the coupling to move it. If that is the case, more than likely we've got dirt and debris underneath, and you're going to want to take it out, slide it back and forth and keep moving it so that it's going to move freely. Best thing to do is go through a dry run, and that's what we'll do first. In this case, we're working with a 3-inch Schedule 40 coupling. We're going to want to measure the overall length. In this case, we've got 10 inches. This entire coupling, and it is a 2-piece coupling, is going to get centered over the window. So we're going to take our tape measure and a marker, and we're going to go from the center over 5 inches, which is half the dimension of the coupling. This is going to be where the lead edge of the closure coupling is going to come to rest. The procedure that we're going to follow is I'll do a dry run first, and then I'll bring in an assistant, Ed, and we're going to go through it. This is a 2-man job. This is not a 1-man job. Always have 2 people, and in larger diameters, and by larger I mean 8-inch and above, you're probably going to need 3 people. We're going to apply primer on both sides of the area that the closure coupling is going to see. With the primer, a good ample supply of primer, we're going to bring it in, rotate the coupling, we're going to keep rotating, and what we're doing is getting some of the primer on the ID of this closure coupling. We'll slide it out of the way, keep moving it, apply more primer, bring it into position, rotate it some more, bring it out of the way. We're now going to apply ample cement, all the while we've got this moving back and forth. We'll bring it into place, rotate it, pull it back out, bring in more cement, put it into position. We'll then follow that same procedure on the back side. We'll come to rest and we're ready to go. At that point, we're going to have about a 24-hour cure time before we can do testing, and also we want to minimize movement during that time. So let's say this closure coupling was on the end of a 90-degree elbow. What you'd want to do is you could go ahead and make up this joint, then let's go down to the next joint not adjacent to it, but maybe 20 feet down, do a closure coupling there. Give this 10 or 15 minutes to start setting up. Then you can come back and just be careful when you start doing the joint, let's say on the other side of the knife. So we're ready to go, and one of the first things I want to show is this is what we're going to be using, gallon containers. We do not want to see someone out there in any sizes 3-inch and over with a quart can. If you're doing a job with 2-inch containment, a quart can is going to be okay. Other than that, we're going to want to use a gallon container or a bucket with we use kind of a mop dauber. There's also rollers or brushes. Whatever you or the contractor feel comfortable with is fine. But the whole idea is that we're going to be putting on a lot more primer and a lot more cement than you would typically do with a standard tapered socket joint. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to apply some primer, both sides, and now Ed is going to bring that in, rotate it, move it around a little bit, and we'll pull it back. We're going to apply some more primer, bring it in, rotate it, okay, pull it back. If we were doing an 8-inch joint, we would have 2 people with 2 gallons of primer and 2 gallons of solvent cement. As you can see, this is going on real heavy. The reason for that is obviously the closure coupling is through board. We'll bring it in, do some rotating, pull it back, another application. And we'll bring it up into place. Okay, and hopefully you can see we've got a nice bead on the front. That's what you want to see. If you don't see that, more than likely what's happened is one of the most common mistakes, which is not enough cement. The contractors are used to doing joints that would be typical with a tapered socket joint, and you obviously don't use that much primer and cement in those applications, so we want to make sure we're real liberal. Now we're going to come on the back side. We're going to want to apply primer and solvent cement on both the pipe and the male portion of the coupling. I'm going to hold this to make sure that it doesn't move. Okay, we'll bring it out. Apply some more primer. Bring that into place. Okay, pull it out. And usually on the back side, we only have to do one application of the glue. And get a nice heavy bead there. I'm going to hold this. We're going to bring it up. Bring it into place, and you can see we've got a lot of glue oozing out at the male-female joint where these 2 pieces join. And Ed, if you move your hand for a little bit, please, you're going to see you're not going to have anything on the back side. All of it has moved up underneath the coupling here. In the larger diameters, here again, 6, 8-inch and above, sometimes it is extremely difficult to bring these 2 pieces together. We're going to end up getting a hydraulic effect with the solvent cement in there and the tight fit between the 2 pieces that even the strongest guy can't physically bring the 2 together. As long as we've got an ample supply of solvent cement showing in this area, if we're not able to butt the 2 pieces together, we're in good shape. So as you can see, it is not that difficult. However, it does take a couple of hands to do it, and the procedure is a little bit different. Here again, probably some of the most common mistakes that we're going to see is that people allow dirt and or water to get underneath the coupling prior to the initial installation, and they don't use enough solvent cement. Best suggestion is read the instructions not once but twice. Make sure you have the proper containers for your primer and solvent cement, proper applicators, have 2 or 3 people available, and go through the procedures nice and slowly, and you're going to end up with good results. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact the factory at 1-800-490-0077. Thank you.